Live from our bedrooms.
Well, my living room, but yeah.
Close enough.
Right, I've got a beer. That's some good shit. Right. Oh, hi, Sprite.
Hola.
Wait, are we live?
Right, yeah, I think we are. Yeah, I was just going to say hello to everybody. So, hello, everybody. We're back for another podcast / developer, whatever this is. Got a pretty cool night of some Chapter 2 stuff that I want to show off to everybody. The team haven't played it yet, but they will do after this stream. So it's pretty exciting stuff to show off. We got some new team members. I say members because literally we just got a new team member today, but I think he's busy at the minute.
He's not going to be here. No, I'm not sure if he can make it next week either. We'll have to see.
That's fine. I mean, so basically we've recruited a guy called OneUpD, and he's our new programmer / coder, and he's already doing some pretty amazing work for us, playing with lots of things that we're excited to show off, which is cool. The other person that we're talking to at the minute is a guy called Merry Kralichmus, which I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly, but we're going to get him in here.
That's just his Christmas name, I guess.
Oh, right, I see. Yeah, I got it now. Well, we're going to get him in here to sort of help out with some more animation stuff as well, so we can do all sorts and try and deliver sort of even more stuff. So I guess, I don't know, I guess we should go through what, all of us that are here, what we do.
Roll call.
Roll call, yeah, I'll let you guys sort it out, go on.
CW, go on.
Oh, sorry. Hey guys, I'm CW3D, and I am the sound designer for Entropy Arctica.
Max.
I'm
Awesome.
Oh, is Max going first, or am I
Trying to go down the list from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Easiest thing to do. Come on.
I mean, he's muted, so I don't know.
Yeah, go for it, Sprite.
I'm Sprite Cranberry, and I'm the animator.
And I'm Trivy. I'm the voice actor for Bad Cop.
I'm Max, and I do some build testing and some Discord stuff.
There we go.
So that's all of us here tonight.
Fucking shambles that was.
Oh man, it's one of those nights tonight. But anyway, we got some cool stuff to talk about. So I'll just go over where we are, I guess, in terms of development today, as of this point right now. So the first map of Chapter 2 is done. I literally finished that today, and you'll see that in a minute. So I'm going to start working on map 2. We've sort of decided this week that Chapter 2 is going to span 4 maps instead of the traditional 3 to sort of fit some extra stuff in, which is cool because it just means that the mod will be a bit longer. And I think I'm happy to work in an extra map in this chapter because it looks like it's going to be sort of core to the mod at the minute. This is where most of the sort of combat surrounding rebels is going to be sort of at its thickest, and we're not going to be interfering with that combat very much with exposition and stuff like that. It's going to be sort of meaty gameplay, so we want to make the most of that for the mod, I think. In terms of code, we've got like so much going on. I know OneUp's probably done more since we last talked. It's been a busy week, but we've got squad command and stuff now in code working. So you can command Combine soldiers just like you could with the rebels, which is great. Some progress has been made bringing across the ball squid, which I've seen, which looks really cool. Let me just hop on Trello. I know there's more stuff that's been done. That's why I stopped there, Kaylee, because I had to burp. Yeah, so we're looking at other things as well, like giving soldier companions health regen, just like the companions from the Half-Life 2 games, like Alex and stuff like that. We talked about a flare gun, didn't we? Remember that chat we had about flare gun?
Yes.
Just thought, but we're going to put our own spin on that, I think, aren't we? It's not going to be traditional flare gun. It's going to be sort of more like the mechanic of a flare gun in something else, which we won't spoil at the minute.
Indeed.
Yeah, so there's all sorts going on. We've sort of fixed a bug with antlions, where antlions were one-hit soldiers. I mean, it wasn't really a bug, was it? It was more of a feature, wasn't it?
But not one we wanted.
And that was sort of made to make the Nova Prospect segment of Half-Life 2 easier. Basically, when an antlion would engage a Combine soldier, the antlion would always win, and it would always kill the soldier instantly. So we've ripped that out to sort of make the first chapter a bit more sort of playable with squad combat and stuff like that. And the other thing we've done is we've finished all the zombie changes, which is kind of cool. I might show that off tonight, actually.
Oh, did you fix the thing where I reported last week where if you shot a zombie in the head a couple of times, he would just fall off his body for like no reason?
Oh, I don't know if I fixed that. That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, because I'll just shoot him like a couple of times in the head with a pistol, and then his legs would just flop over.
Yeah, that's right. We need to fix that. That's right, because the damage filter should be detecting buckshot only for that. So essentially,
there you go.
What we want for Entropy 02 or Arctica, that's the other thing we've got to talk about is the name.
Oh my God,
yeah. Might let the community vote on that. The zombies we encounter are going to be covered in slime, so they're going to be sort of more slippery and gross. One of the cool things that we've done with buckshot is you can shoot them in half really easily. You can blow them up. They sort of fall to pieces. It's kind of cool. I quite like it. Makes for some more interesting gameplay. We've got a lot sort of planned for the zombies, haven't we, Trivy? Sort of,
oh,
yeah. I don't know. I don't want to say too much at the minute because it depends how much we can pull off. But there's just like loads going on there, so it's really exciting stuff that's happening at the minute.
Yep.
Sound-wise, we got a new track, didn't we? But I'm not going to release that yet. Oh, it was really good. But I don't know if I'm going to release it yet because I don't know if Spencer's finished with it, and it would be rude of me to just do that. But yeah.
Are you thinking is that track going to be used for the main action segment in Chapter 2? Do you think, or is it for something else maybe?
I think that would be used for the main segment in Chapter 2, definitely. I've got a pretty good idea of what I can do with it, like where I can apply it.
It takes a little while to wind up into the sort of main hook of the action bit, I suppose. I think it needs to sound a little bit more actiony. It's like on its way there, but it needs a little bit something extra to make it sound more badass. Because I mean, this is already well known. We're going to be going through this facility, shooting down rebels, clearing rooms and stuff. I think we just need a little bit more badassery in there.
I think I agree, because we have to be careful about how we design combat with this kind of music in mind. Sometimes we can allow for, like you said, like a build-up, but we have to time that so carefully because the player can just like run off.
That's why you have dynamic music, I suppose. You have the wind-up, and then you have the main bit in the middle that you can just trigger, as long as it all flows into one another. It's what Valve do anyway.
That's right. Well, that's the thing. I was thinking about taking a page out of Valve's book with this. I nearly did suggest that last week, I think. I was thinking about it. But I'm so used to just using set tracks and putting them in. So it's kind of,
We'll have to see how it goes with the mapping and the music. I mean, it's a very difficult thing to try and get right, and getting things to time up with the music. The easy way, I'd call it the easy way, because it's sort of cheesing it, really. You don't really need to time anything. You just put a bunch of triggers or however the hell Valve do it, and the music will just play the part of the music that's most relevant to wherever the player is. Or you do the hard bit and you try and actually pace the player with the music, with the map.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because you can never predict what the player's going to do. So unless you can explicitly direct the player, it's difficult to sort of do it, which is why when you look at all the music through Entropy 01, the music sort of plays where there's no room for error. It's a combat segment. You can go any direction you want to go. It's not really directed. But what I want to do with this piece, especially because of our intentions, something that we're going to do with it, and with Bad Cop with the music piece. I think we're going to do that, aren't we? I want to make sure that we direct it properly. I want to make sure that it's all synchronized. So it's going to be really interesting to do. It's going to be sort of like combat that's synchronized to the soundtrack that's playing at the time, you know. So I've got some ideas how I can do it, you know.
Especially if you want to do the idea where Bad Cop's humming along to the...
Well, that's what I mean. I think that would be a great way of breaking the fourth wall. I think it would be hilarious. And we'd need to synchronize both sounds, obviously, right down to the very, you know, it needs to be synchronized to work. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Or you could just cheese it and put the humming in with the music track, so you don't need to, like...
You could do that. That's a really good idea. I didn't think of that. God, why did I think of that? I still have to synchronize the closed captioning, though.
True. Well, it's just in brackets, Bad Cop humming. I don't know.
I tell you what we'll do. We'll load up Face Poser. We'll put the music in with Bad Cop humming. Attach the caption file. Chuck in an NPC. No, we're not doing that. That's going to be a nightmare.
We'll go over this in more detail later, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. We've got to think about it. So I guess that's kind of progress in terms of sort of behind the scenes. That's all of like the code. That's the sort of mapping progress, the sound progress. The other thing that's happened obviously is the gameplay, which I'm going to show off right now. So you can all see this. I'll just put it on the stream right now. Now I'm going to shut up because I'm using push to talk. So I'll just shut up for a minute and play it, and then we can convene afterwards.
Let's give this a shaky look.
Yep, just remember that our reactions are going to be delayed because there's like, I don't know, 5-second delay on the stream.
Here we go.
CW made.
Oh, shit.
Or maybe fish in a barrel. Anyway.
There's a button to get out now. That's new. Oh, and it's like he kicks the door. Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Looks like we got a serious rebel presence up here. Bigger than we thought.
I'm liking the look of the new hood as well. Seppuku head crabs.
All autonomous units, except mandatory sector assimilation. Coordinated constriction underway. Debride and cauterize.
Oh, yes.
Entering phase 9. Enhanced compliance. Deploy advisory, control and oversight. Submit and be subsumed.
Overwatch.
Where the hell have you been? I killed them all already.
Right, that's all I'm showing off. Because
Nice.
it gets spoilery.
That looks very, very nice.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's been a
That
blast
gives,
to make.
That was insane.
that
It-
gives me chills.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
glad you like it.
if you fuck up the puzzle and like get shocked, I think Bad Cop needs a line for that.
Yeah, do you know what? My wife had this amazing idea, which we could probably do now we've got a coder. Bad Cop should talk if he takes damage in general, shouldn't he?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, so if he gets shot, he should be like, fucking ow, my knee, or some shit like that. I don't know.
It should be quite random and shouldn't be so common, so we don't have to constantly hear him.
I'll just record 150 lines.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Because I was thinking, when the hev suit, in Half-Life 2, when you take damage in the hev suit, like when you're low health, it makes that noise.
Oh, yeah.
We could easily hack that, replace it with a voice line as well. You know, say, oh, I'm going to die, or something like that, you know.
It's in player.cpp, I think, or something like that.
Right, we'll have to have a look at that, because we could easily cheese that, I think, and have him say something, you know,
Yeah.
oh, my fucking
Oh,
leg.
that tickles a little.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll send you guys a test build later on. You can have a go. But it's been great fun working on this map. I've had so much fun with it.
It does look very nice. I'm loving the little details you added, like the booting open the door. If we need a little, if only we could have an animation of him actually kicking it.
One day, you know, I'd love that, because that would be great. It
I
would
know
be
it's
so
possible
cool.
because it's funny. I mean, S mod, you get a kick.
That's right,
Cut
yeah.
that away.
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Shot
it's
zoom.
I've actually done something like that before because in my mod we have a kick.
Yeah, maybe not as like a feature, but just for that one little bit where you boot open
Yeah.
the door.
You could probably use a custom like animated model in the map that just activates on a trigger or something.
There you
when
go.
Yeah, see, what we can do is we can tie a view control to an attachment in the model if we wanted to. I'll tell you what we could do. We could fix the view control player interpolation code, sorry. There's a bug with it in a minute, but we might get one up. We might be able to get one up to fix it. And that would give us a lot of freedom with things like first-person interaction kind of stuff, like jumping up, for example, jumping up ledges and stuff like that. You could see his arms and stuff.
Oh no, not the HTTF treatment.
No. It's just an example.
Yeah.
But anything that we wanted to do, like kicking open a door where you want to see his legs and stuff, we could use that sort of stuff to do it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm liking the new HUD as well. I'm liking the HUD, the font that you're using for the HUD.
Oh, yeah, I've since changed the font. I did that today, just because it was something that I needed to do. It was driving me nuts. It's one of those little jobs that I needed to do. I think I can show off the zombies if you want to see them.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me just sort that out.
I will have to say something about the new zombies, but I'll say that afterwards, after they've been shown off.
Getting some nice numbers on the stream as well. 25. Not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our zombie test area, and basically zombies are now slimier. They fall to pieces. You know, you guys have seen it. I'll just show it off. Worth noting, actually, the blue slime underneath them will be green at some point. We just haven't fixed that yet. But it deals damage. I'm going to try it with the pistol trivia and see if that bug's still present.
Yep, just shoot him in the head with the pistol a few times.
Oh yeah! That's a pain in the arse.
Yep, don't need these legs anymore.
Do you know what I haven't played with in a while? I haven't played with the Zen Relay Grenade.
True. Yeah, they look pretty neat. The only question is, where in Zen does it even take them?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember what I even called the weapons class. It's my fault.
Man, if 1UpD was here, he'd be able to tell you, because he's been rummaging through the code.
That's so annoying. I haven't tested it in so long that I can't remember what I've actually called the class. Just hold on. I'll find it. Zen something.
Maybe Zen Nade instead of Zen Grenade.
No, it wasn't that. What did I call it? Oh god, that's going to drive me nuts.
It was driving me nuts. I was trying to test it out when I got the build, and I couldn't.
I can't remember what it's called. That's trying to drive me mad. It's because I haven't tested it for so long. Everything's in here. The code and everything's there for it. One thing I noticed is that the fast zombies don't fly apart as nicely. But yeah. You get the idea.
Yeah, maybe that just needs adjusting, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's still work to do, to be done. Like the green puddles need to be green and not blue.
I mean, I quite like the new look of the slime zombies. But something I've just been questioning about it is because this slime is in Half-Life 2, right? It's like during the canals chapters.
That's right, yeah.
And my question was like, why does this slime now suddenly affect these zombies?
To be honest, I don't know. It's more me just trying to put an interesting spin on it and sort of, so it's not, oh, I've seen this before. It's more sort of like, oh, this is something new. We could explain it. There could be a way for us to explain it. I could think of a few ways we could get around it.
I mean, that was the thing too, because I found the blue slime zombies like far more interesting and unique looking than these zombies.
Well, you know, we could go back to blue zombies. I think I changed them due to a retcon in the story, but you know, as early as it is in development at the minute, we could always bring them back using the sort of explanation that I had for them before. So it's always possible that we could do that, you know. If you think it would be a good idea, we could do it.
I mean, it would be cool to have both slime zombies, but I mean, it could be possible since we have a programmer now.
Yeah, that would be possible now, definitely. Now that we've got a programmer, we could literally have a flag or something that says zombie is slimed, which makes them fall apart more easily. The sort of blue zombies that we did, they were meant to be a bit more tanky and a bit more of a challenge to sort of cut through. So sort of one or two by themselves wouldn't be so bad. But when you get like a pack of them, then it's a real problem. And also they drop obviously the slime puddles as well, which can block up corridors.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, definitely.
I think one of the things we mentioned in our quick sort of chat last week was that the slime zombies, the puddles aren't fading. We need to make that happen because otherwise you could literally get stuck.
Oh yeah. And is it possible to make the slime puddles look more like a slime puddle rather than it being just a static decal that's on the floor?
Potentially, yeah, using material masks. I was having this chat with one update. Yeah, so I mean, there's two ways that we could do it. We could use an animated decal, which I want to do anyway, because what you might have noticed from the gameplay, when we kill rebels now, blood will pool underneath them. It will just but at the minute it's just like a splat. But if I can get a decal that sort of expands, like a pool of blood, that's what we'll use for the rebels. But I found something really interesting. The AR2, when you fire the AR2 in Half-Life 2 and you hit a wall, it does that like little pulse thing. Where,
yes,
you know?
I remember talking about this.
Yeah, and I looked at the code for that, and what it is that Valve actually generate a quad, which is like a plane in the 3D space. In real time, they generate a 3D plane with the texture on it, and they just shrink it into nothing and then delete the plane. And that gives you the illusion of this sort of bullet hole shrinking from being expanded. But we could reverse that, and we could just basically slap quads sort of underneath rebels and stuff and have them expand slowly outwards to give the illusion of blood. And we could do the same thing with the zombie slime puddles.
Oh yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah, it's an idea. It's sort of, I don't know. We're coming across these like technical challenges that we didn't have because we're not going base Half-Life 2. We got to find new ways of getting around these sort of problems.
Which is good.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Very much so.
So did you guys want to add anything else to the gameplay that we've just seen?
Ooh, I don't know. I can't think of much at the moment. I mean, I'm thinking the area where you drop down and there's like just some random garbage for you to like take cover behind. That is maybe be a little bit more interesting because at the moment it's just like a flat field and you've got some random stuff in the middle to take cover behind whilst you shoot some dudes up above. It needs to be a little bit more. No, it seems kind of random at the moment.
That's cool. No, that's good feedback. I think we definitely do need more things because I like to stay inside the little shack and sort of hide behind the computers, but I just know other people are going to run out that door and they're going to get like into a gunfight outside. So we have to make sure that there's adequate cover for them out there.
That was like the first thing I did when I got to play that map, and I got destroyed.
Yeah, at the minute you will. It's sort of going to a thing that we spoke about last week about having the shack sort of destructible. We're not going to be able to do it because of the ent data now, and the map is like so high, which sucks because it would be good. But we sort of hit the limitation of source there. I started playing with it, and the map just got really laggy, performance-wise. And not to mention the fact that light penetrates funk breakables, so it just looked crap. It's such a shame though, because it was such a cool idea.
Yeah.
But,
if only we had Source 2!
Yes, if only we had Source 2. But you've given me an idea. We're going to do this a bit later on in the mod. We'll have like a wooden sort of cabin thing, and that can be destructible. We can do it that way.
Awesome.
So we're definitely, that would be cool. But yeah, so what you were saying, that's totally true. And we need to sort out cover outside. We need to sort of accommodate players that don't want to stay inside the cabin. They want to go outside and fight. That's fine, but at the minute if you do that, you get absolutely destroyed. Yeah.
It was good to see through that gameplay that the electric fence area has been heaps polished now. I feel like the damage trigger has been shrunken down, which is great because I found that super unfair when I was standing on a pallet, but I was still getting electrocuted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the version you guys got is unplayable. And that's because I sort of finished halfway through with that puzzle. I didn't actually vertex snap those trigger hertz to anything, so there's no getting through that in your current build. Sorry about that.
I would like to, because I said this, I think yesterday maybe, how there should be 2 ways to go about this puzzle. So I understand it's a homage to puzzle and opposing force, but I think it'd be cool to, expand on that as well. So we find a vent somewhere which leads to another fenced off area, which leads to a power box, which we can turn off and go back and go through the fence if we wanted to. Or we could do, the way it's been shown off.
That's a good idea.
Sand trap.
So give players more choice about how they approach the puzzle.
Yeah, and it'd be similar in the sense that it's another homage to opposing force, to that electric fence area, since we do go through a vent and turn off the power.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I think we could totally do that. That won't be difficult for me to implement. Yeah, I'll put it on Trello. That's a cool idea. Oh, he needs to go to sleep. Mummy.
Also, I remember coming across in one of the huts, there's a pair of doors that are like locked. I'm thinking maybe there could be something behind those doors, some of the like extra explorable thing. I'm not sure what yet.
Which doors were that? Was that in that second hut? Yeah.
In the second hut, yeah, there's a pair of locked doors.
Oh, I know. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I had an idea for that. I just have to build it. There's a couple of areas when you play the test builds, you'll find a couple of areas which have been put there deliberately for secrets. You'll see them.
Nice.
Speaking of secrets, which I won't spill out, but I found one in chapter 1, and I think it was like the second last map, the third map. I found a secret, and it gave me a big spook because I wasn't expecting it.
Oh yeah, which bit was that? I'm trying to think. Is that where you go up the stairs? You go back up the stairs?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
Do the thing to the door. Oh, that got me, actually. Like, I was not expecting that.
Okay, well that's good, because that's the reaction that I want from that. I need to put more of that in, I think.
I feel like it spooked me, and then it just kind of still happened. Like, it kind of started to look a bit silly or a bit awkward. I think having maybe the night vision go out after like a second of spotting the thing could be a nice extra spook.
It would, because you'd be like, wait,
Yeah.
did I just see what I thought I saw? And then you turn it back on again and it's not there anymore.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, and we can do that by using the this is just like a bit of information for anybody listening who does mapping and shit. If you use a player speed mod, it kills your flashlight. I don't know why, it's like a bug. Whenever you use player speed mod, if you call it at all, it kills the flashlight. So we can totally do that.
Okay.
I don't, it's probably intentional, because I guess player speed mod's designed for sort of like freezing the player and revoking control, but you can turn off a flashlight using that. It's pretty cool. So anyone else got anything else to say about that sort of bit of gameplay that we've seen?
I was looking at the shotgun animation. I'm probably gonna speed up the firing animation a little bit, because it seems like there's a bit of a delay before you actually pump.
Yeah, the shotgun seems slower to fire. Like, it takes a while to shoot it, pump it, and then get the next round in. It was a lot faster with the older animations, but I'm sure you can like fix that up.
It feels more powerful though in that sense, because I did notice that it slowed down, but it felt like it packed more of a punch because of it.
Yeah, I thought that.
I mean, it would make more sense by using the secondary fire mode. Like, I find that totally fine, but the primary fire mode, I feel like, yeah, it's a bit too slow, but it does definitely feel more powerful in that sense.
Plus, in Half-Life 2, the Combine soldiers fire their shotguns like...
They do.
That they use their shotguns properly. That's how a Spaz 12 is supposed to act. It doesn't have a stupid double barrel mode.
Maybe that we should change the shotgun. Then the right click just basically has bad cop spam it going.
Oh, that would be so cool.
That would be cool, but I would try not to change so much of the core gameplay mechanics of Half-Life 2. I think another mod tried to do the same thing, and it just didn't feel right.
Yeah, it's got to belong, hasn't it?
Yeah. But when we're thinking, because we had this discussion last stream as well about the Python having a secondary mode as well, I feel like that would be acceptable.
Yeah, that would be so cool. We have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm actually animating it right now.
Oh, nice.
I'll have to make some new sounds for it too.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, actually, while Sprite's here, it's worth mentioning the AR2 firing animation. When you're sort of just like holding down the trigger, it kind of, I think, because the animation can't keep up with the speed that it has to cycle, so it just kind of looks like you're not firing anything. Because I know what you're trying to go with, where it like feeds the pellet in, and then you fire it, and then it feeds the next one in and fires it like that. But it's trying to do the animation so quick, it's like invisible.
Ooh, all right. I think that's a good start with that pitch you just sent, Sprite. But the thing with the Python, weren't we going to like have it a bit more flashy because it's a new weapon that Bad Cop isn't supposed to have? So he's a bit more careless with it, but I don't know.
Yes. He's gonna be like, he's trying to be Clint Eastwood, basically.
Yes, totally.
I reckon instead of having him hold the Python with two hands, he should have one hand at the ready for when he like fans it.
Oh yeah, so he's like, I know what you're going for there. That's a cool idea.
And then can we have like multiple like idle animations? So like every now and then maybe he like flexes his fingers that's like hovering over the hammer. He like sort of goes with his fingers.
He just wants to do it.
Maybe occasionally, and then maybe he gives it a little spin on the finger every now and then and shit like that.
I think he should look directly down the barrel. He's just like, is this thing loaded?
When he first picks it up, he should be like, is this thing loaded?
Oh, that would be so funny. Looks like directly down the fucking barrel. Is this thing loaded? Click, 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 click. Nope. I'm saving this for later. Shoves it down his pants.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I know we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
A little bit more interesting if you animate as well, Sprite, instead of just the usual me hold gun, me fire gun.
So wait, what exactly are you looking for?
So we don't want this to be more like the Half-Life 2 style animation. We want it to kind of be a bit more fancy and flashy because it's a weapon that Bad Cop isn't supposed to have, and it need to feel like a badass throughout holding and using this weapon.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you caught with how we wanted to hold it. So he has his hand over the gun, like so he's ready to fan it. So
maybe we should after the stream like write down specifically what we want for the animations.
Yeah, I mean, Sprite, if it helps you, I can put on Trello sort of like animation requirements if you think that would be useful.
That might be helpful.
But in terms of the 357 Sprite, I would say just have fun with it. This is the one weapon where we're just going to go fucking all out, you know. Just think what he's going to do when Bad Cop gets his hands on that. He's going to want to be Clint Eastwood, you know. He's going to be spinning it, doing all kinds of crazy crap with it.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. A lot of fun to be had there.
I actually did something similar to that. Let me see if I can find.
I think in terms of chapter 2, we'll probably get the. Did we agree on doing the 357 initial sort of pickup with zombies? Is that what we agreed? I can't remember now.
Yeah. So from what
Yeah.
so without going into spoiler territory, he'd go into the section where he loses his guns, and then he has to sneak through that area with the turrets that like light because he's fucking lost everything, no night vision either. And there's a big bad fucking thing in the area that he's in, so he has to try and get through this area without being found by the big bad because he can't fight them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And at the end of it, he finds the python, so he can actually go back and fight the thing and get out.
That's it. That's perfect. That works out great because that means that I can build the second map as a sort of build up to that moment where we're sort of dropped down into the basement of this place, and yeah, cool shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a new chapter, or would that be just another map in chapter 2? Because I feel like it should be a chapter 3 thing.
That would be chapter 2, map 3. That would be at the minute. It would make, with the current writing, it makes sense for it to be like that, because chapter 2, when I have 4 maps, I kind of have to spoil things to go into detail, so I'll talk to you about that later on.
I'm liking the look of those animations. That's sort of like the thing we're going for, isn't it, really? Not a lot of flair.
Yeah, that's perfect. I could just see, in my head, just the comments that he's going to be making.
Yeah, holy shit. It's going to be so good.
It's going to be, like, so cool. I can't wait.
One thing I noticed on the note of like taunts and stuff is if somebody that isn't bad, like say if a combine soldier kills a thing, Bad Cop will sometimes taunt even though it's not him making the kill.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, I did say that at the beginning of chapter 1 with the first antlion encounter.
Yeah, so I was sort of thinking, should that be a thing we just leave in anyway, or shall we like maybe fix that?
The problem is, and we can probably fix it with 1UpD's help. In fact, I know we can fix it with 1UpD's help. All of the sort of NPCs, they don't have an on-player killed output, they just have an on-death output, and we basically call the taunt when they die. And this is a new problem because we didn't have squads in Entropy 01, so we didn't have anybody else killing the enemies. So we just have to adapt. I think we can get 1UpD to put a new output basically into the rebels and the antlines and stuff to make sure that only Bad Cop's only taunting when he's doing the killing. Saying that, I guess you could mix it up if you wanted to, and you could have him comment if a squad member kills.
That would be pretty cool. Like,
yeah.
Oh, so you can shoot you can aim after all, sort of thing.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I think we have to do that now. Oh, so you can pull the trigger. That's perfect. So that's a really cool idea and just adds more flavour to it, I guess. And then also builds on that paradigm, playing with a squad, playing without a squad. I don't know if you guys saw my comments to 1UpD the other day, but I think I really want to give players that kind of choice, whether we play the game with squads or whether we just sort of go solo for the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you could just either leave your squad mates behind or fucking shoot them, whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The whole idea is that the experience differs each time, so you'll play it once with a squad and you'll play it a second time without a squad, and he'll say different things. There'll be different things to sort of observe and stuff.
Yeah.
I had this cool idea today, and I don't know if I can pull it off, but I'm going to just say it in the stream and I'm going to run it by you. In Opposing Force, you could find those guys that would cut the doors down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought about kind of putting a spin on that and having the shotgun soldiers basically carry breach charges, and you could direct them to doors and they would breach.
But
yeah, you reckon that would be good?
Man, this is turning into like Star Wars Republic Commando, but it's Combine Commando. I'd love that shit. I would.
That would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. I had the idea earlier. I saw the shotgun guy, and I was just like, what if he was to you could point at that door? Because then we can have doors that are locked, and you'd have to find a shotgun soldier to sort of blow them open for you. And that's more sort of
That'd be so
opposing force vibes, you know, that kind of thing.
I mean, can you imagine if we did do like a Half-Life friggin' Combine Commando type game where it's like a super elite group of soldiers that all have their faculties and they all have
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Oh my god.
That would be amazing.
That'd be cool as well for if it was Metro Cops as well.
Oh yeah.
Since that would also make it just a tad
It
more
would
sense
actually,
than-
yeah. God damn.
One day,
One day. 2025.
if we ever get a Source license, it's happening.
Entropy Zero Commando.
Hell yeah. I quite like the name.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something that we should talk about as well. I didn't put it in the itinerary, but it's a really good point. We cannot settle on the name for the mod at the minute. I know we said it was going to be Arctica. Last week we had a discussion. We were starting to think that Entropy 02 actually sounded more natural to sort of say. I don't know. Have you guys had any more thoughts on that?
It's a tough one because I like Arctica, but I like Entropy 02 because making it have a 2 on it makes it feel like a proper sequel. Because as I've said before, there's so much being done in this game with like the code changes and loads of fucking effort being put into it on all sides. I think it deserves having a nice big 2 slapped on there as a proper sequel. Putting
Absolutely.
Arctica on the end still feels like an expansion pack. Like, oh, here's some levels for you to play. It's not just that; it's a whole other game. It's a new sequel, and the 2 really hammers that home. But yeah, I don't know.
It just has a better ring to it when I say Entropy 02.
Yeah,
it does. This week, every time I've been speaking about it, I've just been finding myself saying Entropy 02. Yeah, Entropy 02.
Shall we just drop the Arctica thing altogether?
We can drop it. I mean, it's it doesn't matter right now. We can drop it. I don't care. I don't care about the name as long as everybody knows what it is and what it does.
Because trying to fit Arctica in there is difficult.
Someone just commented Entropy Arctica 2.
Fuck.
Entropy 2 Arctica Retribution Redemption.
Oh my God.
That has a ring to it.
90s, early 2000s films, God. Entropy 0 Reloaded.
Entropy 0 Part 2. God, that's shit.
Entropy 0 2 Reloaded, The Reckoning, Retribution, Resurrection.
You see, Paul's had a good idea. He says we should make it a card game. We could totally just drop this whole thing.
Yes, because that actually goes... Because that just goes so well, doesn't it?
I mean, what are we doing making this when we could have just been making a card game this whole time?
I hate wasting time.
I know, right?
Things like this.
But it's important to do this because then, it's part of the creative process. You know where you're going. So what we'll do is we'll scrap everything and we'll just do a card game.
We'll come back to this, of course, but it won't be a single-player game. It'll be a battle royale, so...
What I'll do is I'll post the plot on a blog in 10 years' time.
Actually, shit. That guy makes a really good point. What if Entropy was the series name, and then what comes after it is the name of that chapter in Bad Cop's fucking story? So the first one was Entropy 0, and this one's Entropy Arctica, which sounds fucking stupid now that I say it out loud.
I don't know. I mean, I'm open to anything. I like
to think that Entropy 0 is the name of the series of. So if we were to do like a spin-off game or something, like I was just thinking the other day we could do like a spin-off game, like based off something Trivy made in Source Filmmaker, which was that Apartment 23.
Oh fuck! You want to make a spooky fucking game where you play as a Metro Cop?
Yeah, a spooky Metro Cop mod.
Nice.
But I think Entropy 0 as like a base, and then anything afterwards is like. So, let me think about this properly. So Entropy 0, 1, and 2 are based on Bad Cop story. Entropy 0, and then have a different name afterwards could be a different cops or a different Combine story or something that has no real link to Bad Cop, but Entropy 0 is just to let people know that this is a Combine mod, so expect some Combine stuff kind of thing. Yes, Trivy, Combine.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, CW. I think we've sort of established this franchise name of Entropy 0. So I kind of think that it has to be Entropy 0 something, whether that's 2, because I don't know. I find myself saying Entropy 02 all the time. That's what
Maybe
you know.
Be Entropy 02.
I think we should just stick with Entropy 02 because, something everyone's used to, and it's even mentioned in the map names.
That's true, yeah, because of, before I renamed it, yeah.
I mean, I understand, like, if it was Entropy 0, in Entropy 01's case, because it was called Absolute 0, so the
That's
map
right.
names were AZ,
Correct.
C1. But, you were alone at that time, and, you just did anything you wanted pretty much if you could. But I think, having EZ2, in the map name should kind of relate to the actual name of the game.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems kind of silly trying to talk so far into the future, like, oh, maybe we'll do a spin-off, and
Yeah,
we need to
I know.
try and finish this first. Maybe it's cool to
We have
think
to see what
about.
happens, as much as I would love to just do Entropy 0 forever, I don't know what's going to happen when we finish Entropy 02. What I really want to do is do that multiplayer kind of thing we did, but as a developer, I got to start publishing some stuff that's, off my own steam at some point.
Yeah.
Unless we can find a way to sort of, unless we can pay the bills with Entropy 0, if we can do that for ourselves. But then you're talking source licensing, and oh my god, that's like a massive conversation.
I mean, at that point, as anybody that's experienced will tell you, don't even fucking bother with trying to make money off source, because the amount of licensing you have to pay is stupid.
Correct.
You're better off just making something in Unreal Engine and doing it that way.
That's right. I mean, Unity is amazing. The stuff that I've built in Unity this year, I did some Unity work at the start of this year, just sort of feeling my way around it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's so easy.
Speaking of Unity, Brad, since you've got like such a big thing going on with like all these like horror things, why don't you ever try making a horror game in Unity sometime?
Well, I kind of did one for Halloween that I think you played, didn't you?
Yeah.
I say horror loosely. I built this thing, this is just going off topic for a second here. I built this thing in Halloween, which is basically a maze runner. It's first person, it's pitch black, and Tim Allen is coming to kill you with his tools, basically, and you have to run away from him. And yeah, so, but you asked me why I haven't done it. I would have done it, I guess, 3 years ago, but then I started doing Entropy 0. This year, at the start of this year, I started building something called Frontier, which is like a 2D cowboy game, which is really cool. But then I just kept getting inboxed about Entropy 0, like all the time. I still get it every day. Somebody's asking me about it. When's number 2? And I'm just like, when's number 2? I just, for God's sake.
Come watch the dev streams, damn it.
So I'm just thinking, I don't know. The more I think about it, at the time, the more I thought about it earlier on in the year, I really did like it. I wanted to explore more sort of Bad Cop. And I started writing, and that's how everything starts for me, is I'll write something, and then I'll actually go and make it. So I wrote this sort of thing. I wrote what is now Entropy 02, and I just thought, you know what, I just got to do it. So now I'm doing it.
We're all thankful for it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's such a fun project to be on. Like, probably out of all my years of like working on like mods and games and shit, this is probably the most fun team I've been on.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. I'm glad you're enjoying
But then
it.
again, we have Discord now, because back then there was no Discord, so everything was just done over Steam, and Steam's clunky as fuck. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, this does make life easy, and I think, I mean, I don't know. I've never run a mod team before, and I still use the term team really lightly. I kind of still see it more as like you guys are my backup. Like if I'm doing my thing, I'm doing my maps and stuff, and if I need like a voice line, or if I need a texture or a sound, I know that I've got you guys. You can come along. You guys have got the talent, you know, that I don't have, to sort of fill in the blanks, which is great. And I think at the same time, we're not sort of doing it on sort of like a I don't demand from you guys I need this by this date or anything like that. It's just chill.
It's super casual, yeah.
Just chill, just, you know.
Yeah, get it done when you get it done, but make sure it gets done.
Yeah, I think to me it's just more important that you enjoy doing it, because none of us are getting paid to do it. You know, it's just have fun with it. Have fun with it, and you'll also find, I think, through experience personally, that if you're having fun doing it, you get a better result at the end of it as well.
I mean, it helps that we're all reliable as well, which is why the casual approach is working so well, because none of us like... I mean, some of us have got like extra projects going on, but I don't think any of us have like been extremely slow with doing work that needs to be done. So we're not like... None of us are like taking months and months and months to do one thing.
No, that's right. I think the way that we work is sort of assists with that, because, you know, I don't really come online that much during the week. I mean, this week I don't think I've been online that much, because I'm usually just building it, and that's what I'll do. I'll just get on with it. But if I need something, I sort of come and tell you guys, you know, and you guys sort of figure it out. You go and do your thing, you know. But yeah, it's nice to be able to sort of be able to have this sort of casual attitude about the whole thing. I've seen so many mod teams, I mean, over the years, and I'm talking years, like, I remember, like, year 2000, all the kind of mods out there, mod teams I was talking to back then, just crazy, like, people being like, right, we want this by this date, making demands, getting really stroppy with each other about stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Like they're acting like actual game developers.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my god, just what the hell? You wonder why these projects fall apart. It's because you're taking it way too seriously. Just chill the F out and just, you know, have fun with it.
Like, you can make something awesome, but I don't think taking that, like, approach... like, or so and so is going to be done by this date. You know, it's a free mod. Like, everyone's working for it for free.
Exactly.
You know, just take your time. You know, there's no rush.
Exactly, and you know, in terms of our development, what we're doing with Entropy 02, anything that I build, if I've asked for something and it isn't ready yet, I'll still keep building. I'll just build around it. You know, I can wait. I don't care. I can, you know, and like I'm finding lines now. Like, I think I sent Trivy. I sent you some lines earlier. I'm finding lines that I need to put in the older chapters that I didn't know I needed at the time. That's how, you know, it's more sort of like this casual approach, I think, and also the fact that we're sort of a small team as well. That's another mistake I've seen other mod teams make, is they'll recruit like 50 people and then suddenly nobody knows who's doing what's going on. It's all disorganized. It's a nightmare. We don't want that.
Yeah, that's what's happening with Boreal Alex.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
It's a shame, you know. It's a real shame, because I was looking forward to that one.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think Project Borealis have this issue, because I remember when they were going through their recruitment process, they were very strict with who they brought on and how many people they brought on. So I'm hoping they're doing it right.
When I'm sort of recruiting, well, I don't know, the way I feel I'm doing it is sort of, there's a bit of a trust element from me. It's more like, yeah, like I look at your work. I know you guys are going to do good work. I know it's going to complement Entropy 0. But when I'm talking to you initially, before like you're in the team, I'm trying to get to know if you're going to be cool working like this, and obviously you guys are. I don't think I've interviewed anyone else yet, apart from Kralich. I can't pronounce his bloody name, but he's joining us, you know, and he's cool to work like this. So
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm on like a bunch of different teams with him. He's pretty.
that's cool. You see, I think this is going to be pretty good for other mod teams to listen to. I hope it's going to be constructive because what we do is pretty, you know, I think we do good work. I think all of us together at the minute, we seem to be working really well. There's some serious synergy between us, and we're so goddamn casual about it.
It's not a small mod
by
either.
the
We're doing bits of everything.
What were you saying?
It's not a small mod either. It's not just like maps and some voice acting. We're making code changes, like pretty big code changes as well, by the looks of things. And we got custom animations, and on top of that, it's not a small mod by any means.
It's great because we're getting work done in this casual environment, which, you know, a lot of mod teams, as you said, Breadman, you know, that's something that killed a lot of teams.
I think the other thing that, and I don't know if it's just us that's doing it this way, but when I'm building stuff, I'm trying to make it as polished as possible at the time I'm building it, so that we have something to show off. We have something to show every sort of 2 months or every 2 weeks or so. We can say, look, this is where we are. This is the gameplay. This is what you're going to get. This is the product that you're sort of investing your interest in. A lot of mod teams don't do that. They like, it's nice to have model renders, yes. You know, it's nice to have concept art, but people aren't really interested in that. What they're interested in is the gameplay. That's what people want to see. And that's what I learned from Entropy 01. Every time I posted like a bit of art or like a map or whatever, you get one or two sort of, yeah, that's cool. But when you post a gameplay, that's when you would get hundreds of people watching and, you know, responding to the content. So it's the gameplay that people want. I think the way that we're working is quite slow. It took me 2 weeks to do this first map of Chapter 2, but it's quite polished, I think, at the minute. And when I'm thinking from a detail pass point of view, I can't think of too much that I'm going to have to do to it before it's sort of like beta worthy, you know?
That was something I wanted to point out too, is that a few weeks ago, I think, I sent you some information about a guy who worked on Mission Improbable that got all these like custom, like over 300 new textures and models and so on.
Oh, yeah.
And I had heard earlier from someone else that they were planning on releasing that stuff, which they haven't done yet, which is interesting. But, you know, it'd be cool to, you know, perhaps get in contact with him, you know, ask him if we could use some of Mission Improbable's textures and models just to spice up the maps later on.
I think it's a good idea. One of the things that I'm doing at the minute is I'm pulling from Counter-Strike, and I'll be pulling from Portal to do some bits as well. And these won't just be flat replacements, a bit like with the computers in the first bit that we saw earlier on. I'll be like putting my own spin on them.
I did notice that when I played the first map, Chapter 2, like the retexture on the computer tower was more in the same style of Half-Life 2's, which I'm really happy that it turned out. Like I didn't even notice that it was still the same CS computer.
Oh, really? It does look better, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then I blew it apart and I realized, oh, shit, this really, like, it still works. Like, it feels great. Like, I know it's from CS, but like just the retexture just adds so much more to it. Like it
does, and that kind of work I think is underestimated. The sort of impact that has. That took me 2 minutes to change those textures, you know.
Yeah.
So it's totally worth doing. And
it'll be cool to hopefully get the computers, the monitors the same way. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's something that I want to do because it just the destruction factor is so much fun.
Yeah.
Especially with the CRT monitor, that's going to be some huge chunks.
Yeah, just chunks everywhere. Bits of somebody's head and CRT all over the place.
That was something I wanted to point out too. That was something I wanted to suggest, but I didn't get around to it. With that that starting section, I thought it'd be cool to have like a whole somewhere in that room you're in, and through that hole you can chuck a nade in the room if you wanted to. So there's like 2 ways of
Maybe
going
like
about
that.
that.
That's a cool idea. I'll tell you something that I've already done. One thing I did the other day before I put the glass in is I managed to throw a grenade from the starting room skylight directly up, and then it fell down into the room on the other side and blew everybody up.
Oh, nice.
So that was funny, but I mean, that's a cool idea. So sort of just like grenade them.
Yeah, like you can hear them on the other side of the room. It'd be cool to like hear them like scramble and just get in a panic, and you have Bad Cop over on the other side like laugh.
That's a really cool idea, like him laughing. You know, something I didn't show off in the stream is all of those sounds you did for me with them talking behind the door. They're all in there, and it's really cool. It's really immersive. If you're sort of sat behind the door, you can hear them having conversations and stuff. It's pretty cool.
That was another thing too. I feel like because I got up nice and close and personal to the door, and then I started hearing the conversation like in my right ear instead of like in my left.
I know why that is.
Sound. I think the sound thing needs to be placed like inside the actual room, but close enough to the door where we can hear it.
Yeah, it's because it's using the doors as the sound proxy. I'll just shove it on a target and chuck it into the other room.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Are there any things we need to discuss going forward, like any more planned code changes and stuff like that? I'm just looking at the itinerary a bit.
So basically, Chapter 2's direction is basically, I'll just go over that quickly without spoiling too much. Essentially, we're in this facility now, which you've just seen. That's going to be the meat of Chapter 2. We're moving through the facility. At the end of Chapter 2, I'm hoping, we're going to come out the other side of this facility. We're going to find that we've sort of been left in the dust, and we're going to have to get into an APC, and we're going to have to sort of speed across the wasteland to sort of catch up with the forces that are sort of proceeding without us. We'll have to catch
at another facility.
That's right. Yeah, just sort of it's sort of owned by the same people. I'll say that, but it's sort of a bit further north, and that's where all of the really important stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool. In terms of code, there's loads going on. I think I covered some at the beginning of the stream. There's all sorts going on. I think some of the new stuff that we've suggested tonight, like Bad Cop commenting when he gets hurt, that's a cool idea.
Ooh, what about the I'm not sure if I mentioned it on stream. What about the thing with combine soldiers knocking antlines over when they melee them?
Yes, that's a great idea, and I think we might be able to do that. I'm just thinking it's more sort of one-ups sort of area, but the way that the forts do it is quite. We could probably do it. They play.
It looks kind of janky at the moment if they get in melee range because they just do what I call the melee dance, where they go.
That's it.
Until
Yeah.
They die.
Yeah, it's not right. I think what we need to do for that is borrow the Vortigaunt code, have them play the animation. It will knock the antlion on its back, and then they should shoot it.
Yeah, shoot them.
That would be kind of cool. So yeah, there's other code changes as well. So we're sort of. I want to sort of enforce power play with armor. So essentially, armor is going to be like really good in Entropy 02. You're going to have 200 max armor. So you're going to want to keep it. Without armor, you're going to get shredded. But that's sort of where Entropy 0, the first game, was kind of difficult, regardless of whether you had armor or not. My idea for Entropy 02 is kind of be like, right, if you want a real challenge, don't pick up the armor, don't use the superchargers, just leave them alone. Try playing it without any armor, see how far you get. That's for the sort of masochists out there. But yeah, aside from that, you'll want to obviously stock on a lot of armor because that's going to keep you from getting shredded. We'll make sure that it mitigates more of the damage than it did in Entropy 01.
Are you going to look at reskinning those overcharge suit charges?
Yes.
At the moment, it's just a big fucking bright as fuck orange light.
It's just an orange light.
Kind of looks a bit goofy, yeah. So you're going to get them reskinned?
Yeah. So the way that we're going to explain that is we're going to have the Combine dropping in these pods with superchargers in them, which is going to be cool. So imagine like a headcrab canister, but it's a bit bigger and it's got like a supercharger in it, and we can like fancy it up a bit and make it look a bit nicer. So that's cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
it sort of gives players more choice. Do they want to have like a really difficult sort of challenging experience, or do they just want to power up with the armor and just blast through things, you know? Trying to be more accommodating to the different play styles this time round.
Yeah, that's good.
I think
Uh,
that you mentioned not picking up armor if we want a real challenge. I think that'd be a neat achievement to have, like a neat progressive achievement.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's what I was thinking. So the achievement would be don't pick up any armor, or don't you? It's kind of difficult with don't pick up any armor because sometimes armor's just sort of thrown down in front of us.
just auto pick it up, yeah.
I could change that. I could make it so that we only acquire armor through superchargers, maybe. But we'll have to see. But I think it's a cool idea, running with an achievement for that. You know, if you play it without any armor, good on you. And no deaths as well. Hopefully this time, now we've got one up, we might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that, you know, code-wise, there's so much stuff that we got to change.
yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the Trello page, and there's been a lot of back and forth between you and One Up, and it's interesting conversation to read.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to post the Trello, but I didn't do it last week. But to anybody listening, if you want to see the Trello, it's public. It's on my website. You can go and have a look at it. You can see everything that we're doing. There's a few spoilers in there, I think, at the minute. But if you really want to look at absolutely everything we're doing at a development level, if you're a developer, check it out. One thing I was going to say is I need to get you guys in on the Trello, because I think it would just be cool to sort of have you guys in on that as well. So I need to do invites for you later.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I can post anything on there. I can do, like, animations, we can do sound, whatever. We can all collaborate on there when I'm at work or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Just need to give an email, don't we?
Yeah, if you just PM me your emails, I'll just chuck you on the Trello, and then we can all sort of sort it out.
All right, cool.
So the only other thing I was going to say, which wasn't on the itinerary, I'm planning on sort of releasing HD gameplay videos of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 at some point. I'll do that maybe next week. Just so, it's something you can see with the full sound outside of the stream and everything like that.
Ooh, so like gameplay demos.
Yeah.
Like how episode 2 did it.
Yeah, something like that, just so you can have a look, just, players can already start forming their opinions about the mod. It'd be interesting to see the feedback that we got from those gameplay demos,
I wouldn't want to show too much off in that sense. I think a cool thing you could do that I've done for some people in the past is, like when you get an E3 and they have those gameplay demo looking things that are basically super scripted looking fucking gameplay.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Playing through a little bit of the game. You could do something like that.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. Just something just to sort of say, here's some HD footage of Entropy 02. This is what it's all about, There you go.
But personally for that, I think you'd want to polish the they call it a vertical slice, don't they? So get one part of the game like basically to final version. So the pulse pistol will need to be properly modded and modeled and stuff like that, and record that vertical slice rather than showing off like a half finished this and that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The pistol, you've just reminded me I need to retexture that. I still need to do that. There's all sorts that need to be done.
Oh, that was something else too. Speaking of models, are we going to use those HD weapon models that I posted about?
I don't know. We need to have a discussion about it. I think it would be cool to do, but that might mean that Sprite would have to reanimate all the kind of stuff that he's already done. I don't know.
Yeah.
As long as the model scale is the same, I could probably just re-rig it and it'll look.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it's something that we need to look at. To be honest, it's
also,
something.
Oh, sorry. You can go.
That's all right, man. Go on.
He only posted a few of them, so it would kind of be inconsistent if we only had a few that looked good and then the rest were just standard.
Yeah.
Yes.
We needed it because someone else asked as well if he could release the other models, and he said he didn't have the other models because he gave them off to a couple other people who were using them. So he said that we'd have to ask them. So we may have to do that if we're going to use them in that case. But that's only if we do want to use them. We'll just have to go the extra mile and, you know, ask around, see if
Yeah.
there's the models.
I mean, that's something, at the minute, I don't have time to do that yet. But if you guys want to do it on our behalf, you could go ahead. And if not, I don't mind doing it in a couple of weeks when I've sort of polished Chapter 2 a bit.
Yeah.
There's obviously no rush on it.
Yeah, like the weapons are fine at the moment.
I'm
It's
quite
just-
happy with them, you know. I think the other models would be sort of like a bonus, wouldn't they? You know.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that's pretty much everything that we got. So I think, Trivy, you want to do the Q&A?
Yeah, people are clamoring for the Q&A.
Oh,
So,
before
I
that, so you know how I was working on backporting the guns to Entropy 0?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I played through it the other day, and they all pretty much work.
Oh, that's
as
great.
intended.
Well, then we can roll that out then as an update. That's brilliant.
We will need all the other weapons as well if we're going to do that to have new animations. So, you know, like the stun stick, the manhack thing, the grenade. There'll be some weapons that will still need new animations before we actually roll that out, I reckon, so that we can
Yeah.
keep everything consistent.
I was just mentioning the stuff I already ported. It works perfectly fine.
Yeah. And I'm actually quite excited to see those animations in Entropy 01 because that was something I was kind of... I think that was something I wanted when Entropy 01 was still being developed, was new animations. And it was great when I saw that the manhack was implemented because, you know, it was something new. It had new animations. It kind of felt like same style as Half-Life 2, so, you know, fit in nicely.
It's cool. It would be good to get those sort of new animations carried over. Whenever you finish them, Sprite, just bring them to me, and then we can sort of plan for an update for Entropy 0.
Sounds good.
And I think we could, you know, get those in an update along with, because we really need the stun stick to be an actual weapon,
Absolutely.
like a new one. So I think, and since we got one up here in the team, I reckon it'll be good to you know, get him to make it an actual weapon, and then get those animations in as well, along with the stun stick, and then
It would make all the
on our
difference.
merry way. Yeah.
All the difference in the world.
Oh, God. How did I say that
wake
without...
up.
Like, I didn't even know what I was saying.
So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
It's pretty good.
That's so good.
Holy crap.
Man, if we ever need G-Man...
I know, right?
I'm here, boys.
Do you know what? I'll tell you something about the G-Man. I'll tell you about it later on. I won't say it now.
Oh, we're going to have
Yeah.
a post-stream...
We'll have a quick
discussion?
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Shall I get to the questions then before
Right.
we get to the list?
Yeah, so let's do the Q&A then. Go for it.
All right, hit me, people. I'm going to try not to completely butcher your usernames, so please don't get mad. So, yeah, hit me with your questions, and I will fucking choose ones that aren't stupid. Okay, I'm sure we already answered this, but Kenny asks, is Bad Cop aware about Gordon Freeman?
I don't know. Because when you look at Bad Cop's timeline, he's sort of... At least the Bad Cop that we sort of perceive isn't around when Gordon's doing his stuff. He seems to sort of... So in Entropy 0, that was before Gordon arrived. And then in Entropy 02, this is sort of... Gordon's under some rubble somewhere beneath the Citadel. And it's not really explained to him. It's sort of... at the beginning of Entropy Zero 2, he's sort of brought up to speed, but they don't exactly tell him that it's Gordon Freeman that's done it. I can't say too much, but I don't know. What do you guys think? It's a good question. I don't know.
I wouldn't think so, because as you said, the timeline, Bad Cop's in the first one. You know, it's 11 months prior to the events of Half-Life 2, and you know, Entropy Zero 2 is during Episode 1, but before Episode 1. Sorry, and I mean, I don't think he knows that Gordon Freeman exists even. Like, he's questioning. There was a quote that he said in Nova Prospect, like, what the hell happened to this place or something. So, you know, he doesn't know why this place is all bashed down and shit.
Well, that's a really good point. Yeah,
I agree with CW here, yeah.
Because he sort of says to them, who let the bugs in, you know. It's like, we all know who did, but Bad Cop doesn't know. So I would say no.
My soldiers want to tell them. They could just say Anti-Citizen 1. It's like, who is that?
Exactly. But that's the thing. What would he be like if he knew about this mysterious anti-citizen? He'd probably be like, I want to find him. I want to kill him. I want the glory.
Exactly. He that would be the big bad that he desperately wants.
You know, he would hunt down the Freeman.
Uh-oh.
Oh, fuck. Everybody get on.
Oh, Jesus.
What have we done?
You fucked up my face.
Oh my god.
Mitch,
Oh god.
please.
The fucking whiny sounding Mitch, please.
Mitch, please. Mitch, please. I just took 5 bullets from a 357 in the stomach, but Mitch, stop. Let me explain.
My insides are like the inside of a blender right now, but please.
Jesus Christ.
I'm basically a quesadilla right now.
Alright. That's enough. Hunt down the Freeman.
Right, okay, I'm gonna find another question. It's out of hand. Oh, shit,
derailed so quickly.
Alright, so Nimbus, big up Nimbus, you're a regular on the Discord, asks, how many chapters do you have planned for Entropy Zero 2?
I have 4 chapters planned, and initially I had 3 maps for each chapter planned, but it looks like we're sort of waiving that rule with chapter 2 now, and chapter 2 will span 4 maps.
I mean, anything could happen, so we could have...
Absolutely.
10 chapters.
The sort of the 4 chapter standard with the 3 maps, that's what I did when I was working on this project by myself. That was sort of a limit for me to work to. So we could do pretty much anything now, I guess. It could all change.
Yeah.
How long was Entropy Zero? I can't recall now. It felt pretty long.
Entropy 01. It honestly just depends, really. Like, I can complete it in under an hour on hard. And that's without dying as well, so... I mean, in terms of that, for a new player, it could be short. For a new player, sorry, it could be quite a long mod.
So the average playtime that I get on my Steam stats for Entropy Zero is about 9 hours. That's the average. And I don't know what people are doing. I don't know if that's like full achievements or what, but that's what I get all the time. I just constantly see it. 9 hours.
Right, cool. Next question. This is sort of a question, I suppose. Paul asks, you guess Bad Cop must know about Barney, though, because Barney sort of took him down in the first game. And I'd imagine he doesn't really know that he's Barney, just some fucking douche.
Yeah, see, this was quite interesting. I didn't know what to do with this. When I was writing the end of Entropy Zero 2, I wanted to know if the advisors would comment on the fact that they knew that, obviously, they would have seen everything. They would have seen this sort of rogue cop. I think we just have to assume that they couldn't pin him down. They couldn't find him in their sort of civil protection ranks, because by the time Half-Life 2 rolls around, which is 11 months later, Barney is still undercover, and he's
Yeah,
still getting away with
I didn't
it.
think about that, you know. I didn't think about that. That is a really good point.
Yeah.
If they're like watching that mask playback like 11 months before Half-Life 2, they should have seen Barney's face and gone, we gotta fucking get that guy.
I would imagine the advisors probably mentally noted it, sort of like, right, we got to try and find him. But I like to think that Barney was sneaky enough to sort of maybe, I don't know, change his unit number or change his uniform or something to sort of, you know, shake it up a bit. Maybe sort of
Depends how
not
far
get detected.
away it is. How, I mean, what was it? Was it City? It's City 10 or something, isn't it, that we're in?
That's right,
How
yeah.
far away is it from City 17? Maybe you like moved so fucking far away. Like City 17 is so far away from there that they managed to lose track of him somehow.
Well, maybe.
Well, if you think about it, since in Entropy 01, City 10's located near the peak from that you could see from White Forest in episode 2. So I mean, City 17's like somewhere on the other side, probably.
Yeah, so in the lore, City 10 was sort of like, it was initially, before the uprising in City 10, it was the overflow hub for all of the citizens from City 17, so it's got to be kind of close, I guess. And then it sort of became the go-to for citizens escaping City 17. You know, that's the place they would go, because it was obviously like a fortress that the Combine didn't know about in the Entropy Zero lore. So it must have been kind of close. I kind of like to think that Barney would lead rebels out of City 17, sort of up the Underground Railroad to City 10, and he would sort of go back and forth. So maybe he found a way to sort of, I don't know, keep himself sort of hidden as a member of Civil Protection. I don't know.
You got yourself a plot hole there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, definitely. Well, I do remember thinking about it, though, when I was writing the end of Entropy 01, and I think I came to the conclusion that the advisors weren't going to mention it to Bad Cop, because they're sort of, you know, he's sort of an underling to them. It's not important to him. He doesn't need to know. But they definitely would have looked into it.
Oh, okay. Next question. Someone asks, will there be snow physics?
Oh God, man, I don't know if we can do that.
I mean, mine would be try doing snow physics in Source Engine.
I really don't know. To be honest, probably not. I mean,
no,
probably not. I'm gonna say no. I can't see it happening.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe if there was a mechanic to create like small little, like maybe if there's build-ups of snow and you shoot it, it like collapses down onto the enemy, and you could, I don't know, fuck around with displacements. That, I don't know. Can you even animate displacements? I have no fucking clue.
No, but I mean, what you could do is we could create crude. You could create crude physics boxes, so like boulders and stuff, or we could model sort of boulders. But I mean, I can't really think without sort of going crazy and spending 4 years building the mod. I can't really think what we could do.
We must implement physics into a Source Engine.
I can't see it happening, honestly. It's just beyond me. I don't know how we would do it.
So I'm going to say the answer to that question is no. Too much effort for very little what we get out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what else. Victor asks, will you try to improve the enemy AI?
Yes, that's something that we're actively working on. So some changes have already been made to Rebels, which is sort of good and bad. They sort of pressure the player more. They'll sort of hunt for the player. If you're hiding behind cover, they'll either try to shoot through the cover, or they'll sort of run towards you and get right up in your face. It's good. It's fun. It's different. It definitely feels different to Half-Life 2, but it's really tricky to predict what the AI is going to do. And when you're designing combat sequences, it's kind of, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if it's going to break, you know, is it going to become game breaking at some point because of this? So we're playing it by ear at the minute. I know 1UP's got lots of plans for sort of Rebel AI he was talking about the other day. So we'll see.
Cool. Animated Firearms asks, will you do a tutorial series on how to modify the Source Engine?
I get asked that pretty much every week. So probably at some point, yeah. But I probably ought to share the love at some point, because I know loads about Source. That's not me being arrogant, by the way. I'm just saying. I've been doing it for so long, and I get asked that all the time. So probably, yeah.
Cool. King Boss asks, will we have a sniper weapon in Entropy 02?
Now, I don't know. I was having this conversation with One Up the other day. In sort of older builds of Half-Life 2, this was like 2004. I don't know if it was a bug or not, but when you used suit zoom, you could still pull the trigger. But if you do that in Half-Life 2 today, you can't pull the trigger when you're suit zoomed.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be a feature because they had it in one of their trailers, but I guess they just removed it.
That's right. Now you can still do it. There's a bit in episode 1 when you're with Alex. There's like a combine gun emplacement. If you hop on that gun, you can then suit zoom and shoot. It's bizarre, but you can do it. It's great. I was thinking about maybe bringing that functionality back in, and we can sort of say, oh, it's Bad Cop's helmet visor thing. It lets him zoom in, and then you can sort of, I guess you could snipe with the pistol and other weapons. But as for like an actual sniper rifle, I don't see how I would fit that in at the minute. I don't know. I don't think I could do it with the writing that I've got at the minute.
It'd be nice to have a mechanic where if we do zoom in and shoot, like we shoot slower to get more accurate.
That's a cool idea.
So we could kind of implement, like, if we zoom in with the SMG, we can kind of re-implement its original beta fire rate.
That's a cool idea.
I'm thinking being able to use the combined sniper rifle would be pretty cool.
See, it would be cool. And I know people would want it. But I'm just trying to think of a situation where, or a map that I would build that would be big enough to accommodate it.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And sniper sequences can be kind of bleh.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to snipe things in Source, the rebels are just going to be standing around. It's not going to be very interesting. Unless, I don't know. I'd really have to think about it. Maybe we could do something with it for Chapter 3, but then, I haven't even built that yet, so I just don't know.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a new weapon of sorts. It could be something like the emplacement guns, where we just kind of sit a sniper rifle model or something, and
and use it like a turret kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's a cool idea. We could probably do that with view control, and then literally have the sniper mechanics, from the game.
Yeah. I've seen it done in maps as well. There was a map called Overflow, which was a really great map, actually, really high quality. But it had a sniper rifle emplacement gun like thing, so you just come up and press A, and then you go and shoot like metric cops that are coming down from the street or the road or whatever.
Oh, that sounds cool. We might be able to do something like that then, definitely. So maybe we look to do something like that with Chapter 3.
Yeah, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. I got to build it first. Some of this writing has already changed, from Chapter 1 to Chapter 2. So God knows what's going to happen onwards.
All right. So this is from the Combine Soldier. I'm guessing he really likes the look of Nova Prospect in Entropy 02, how it's like you get to explore it after the events of Half-Life 2, what state it's in. And he's wondering, are we going to be seeing more maps like that in the future, where you're sort of exploring areas after the events of Half-Life 2?
At the minute, no, because of the writing, again. The writing's only taking us sort of north, so we're going to go to sort of areas that we've known so much about for like years, but we've never actually been there. Initially with Entropy 0, we were going to go back to City 17, and there were some technical limitations and challenges around that I ran into, which sucks, but that's, we're still working with this engine from 2013, so we're sort of bound because of that. Maybe in the future I would like to do, if we go down the route of doing deployments and stuff like that, then we would have full creative freedom to go back to places from Half-Life 2 and see, Freeman's Wake.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Kenny asks, do you plan on improving the lighting like Black Mesa did?
It's something that I want to do so bad, but the problem is it's finding the people that know how to do it. I haven't found anyone. The only person I've spoken to was the really nice guy who did transmissions. He's a really nice guy. He is so busy. It's just, it's not going to happen. The problem is, I think, the folks that know that kind of stuff really know their shit when it comes to code. And you'll find them on teams like Crowbar Collective, for example, working on Black Mesa. They're sort of doing the bigger projects, the more sort of heavier stuff.
Basically, shit's complex, and the people with that skill are working on bigger projects.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not ruling it out. I want it. I've wanted it from the start. I think I wanted it with Entropy 01. I know Borealis are doing some cool stuff with their lighting. They've got like PBR or something, and that's really impressive. That's brilliant. I think if we want to bring Entropy 0 into 2019 or 2020 or whatever, it would be cool. To do that, to sort of up the ante with the lighting and stuff.
So I'm just looking at these screenshots.
Yeah, I'm just looking at them as well. They look really goddamn cool.
Anyway, I'm going to find another question. Let's see. I think we already... Did we speak about this in a stream about what chases bad cop around in the dark? But anyway, 049 asks, could the thing that chases bad cop in the dark be a gargantua?
It's not a gargantua. I don't know. Yeah.
It's
Definitely
bigger than the player.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's bigger than the player, definitely.
But it's not bigger than the gargantua.
I did have I had a really cool idea the other day, which I meant to share with you guys. As I'm just going to say it because it's not really spoilery. It's not going to affect the gameplay or the story in any way. It's more of just a little thing. So obviously that we know that Earth got ravaged by portal storms. We know that there's loads of Zen wildlife and stuff, all kinds of shit. One thing that I wanted to do in Chapter 3, there's going to be a lot of sort of like barren ice scapes at the present time. One thing that I want us to be able to see is maybe, we'll find like a secret or something and there'll be like a vista of like just the ice plains and you'll see this giant fucking worm thing like come out like to allude to some sort of Zen life form like thriving up in the north, like massive really cool. Fucking thing, That would be cool to sort of put our own spin on this is like the Zen wildlife, up north kind of thing.
Yeah, what it's like when things get freezing because they can only exist in frigid temperatures.
Yeah, just something like that to sort of just remind people that, maybe we're used to seeing bull squids and head crabs and zombies and stuff because we're from that temperament, but there could be other things out there,
That's very cool.
Bit of fun.
Okay, I can probably answer this one. I'm Paul asks, is Entropy 02 already on Steam? Like, does it have a Steam build? And the answer is no.
Nope, no Steam build yet.
Source mod.
I don't see the point in doing it. I think we're quite cool with how we're sharing builds internally at the minute. We don't need to overcomplicate it with beta access permissions and all that. The Steam portal is pretty complicated. It's just easier just to fire you guys off a link every week, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
it would be cool to have just like literally a Steam game that just auto updates every time you push an update to it.
It would be cool. Yeah. I mean, we'll do it. When we reach beta, that's when it will happen. But at the minute, there's just no need. I don't see the point at the minute.
Unfortunately. But anyway.
Yeah.
So Kenny asks, will this mod have a vehicle section such as a snowmobile?
So the plan is to use the APC from Human Error. They gave it to us, which is great. Which reminds me, I need to speak to update about getting the weapons to work for it, because I know he can do it. I know he'll be able to do that. Yeah, so chapter 3 is basically a sort of a drive through the Arctic wastelands to get to the other sort of side of the facility. It's going to be cool, hopefully. Lots of rebels trying to sort of intercept you and stop you from getting up there and seeing what they're interested in. Yeah, should be fun, hopefully.
Sounds pretty good. 049 asks, will there be more Gordon Freeman Easter eggs?
Definitely in the first chapter. I'm planning an array of achievements for the first chapter where you sort of find things left behind by Gordon. So, yeah. But aside from that, it just, you know, we don't go north with Gordon Freeman, so it wouldn't make any sense after that.
It's only going to be in Nova Prospect.
Yeah.
It would be a cool thing in Nova Prospect to come across a terminal or something that was recording Gordon and Alex in the depot. So you have a recording of Alex speaking to Gordon through the suit. So you see Alex at the terminal or whatever. So
that's a cool idea.
All these like data recordings or stuff that happened in the past. So maybe Bad Cop could, you know, comment on that possibly. You know,
that's a good idea.
We could see Judith. We could see Mossman having a conversation with Breen. Could see, you know, all that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool.
As long as we can fit them in naturally.
Yeah. It could be an Easter egg or something that we come across if we explore.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, nobody here, please go away, asks, will there be Easter eggs? If so, will there be humorous, scary, bad, or just regular Easter eggs?
Yeah, there's going to be totally loads of hidden stuff, just like in Entropy 01. There'll be achievements attached to them as well. So, yeah, really going to up the game on that this time. I think people really liked it. That's one of the main sort of positives I get from Entropy 01 when people talk to me about it, is they just loved finding stuff. So, totally.
It's all about the little details.
Yeah, absolutely. Just giving you stuff to find. So, yeah, it's definitely going to happen.
That is one thing. It's all about rewarding player exploration. That is one of the best feelings when you're sort of playing a source mod, I suppose, where you randomly exploring shit is rewarded by something that's actually substantial.
Absolutely. And, you know, like you asked, will it be sort of scary, bad? I think you're going to get a mixture of all sorts. Some of it's going to be goofy, some of it's going to be hilarious, some of it's going to be really kind of dark and twisted.
Awesome. Nimbus asks, will Entropy 02 have any puzzle elements such as the laser grid from Entropy 01?
Yeah, some. I think I just got to be careful, because a lesson that I learned from obviously Entropy 01 was not directing players well enough. So I'm going to be a bit careful about how I do the puzzles this time around. We saw in the stream tonight, we saw the electric fence puzzle, which I'm hoping that I've made it obvious enough that you have to use the correct material to get through that bit. So I would expect more things like that. A little bit more sort of down to earth. I don't think I'm going to have you looking for batteries anymore, or firing AR2 orbs at light sconces in walls.
Yeah, you got to change it up.
Definitely. I think we just... Those were sort of me trying to be too creative. I think we just be a bit more simple with the puzzle sort of elements.
Simple but effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. B Talker asks, wait, okay, will you change the night vision? And I think that might be because the night vision in the first game is kind of annoying, if you know what I mean. Because it's like everything's wobbly all the time, and it's kind of
absolutely.
Yeah. So
so
I guess that's what you're referring to.
Yeah. So on my list, I think since the beginning, I've had basically a thing that says change the overlay, which I just haven't done. I want to have like a sort of a round sort of light projection this time, almost as though Bad Cop is projecting a light from the thing in his head, rather than having the whole night vision thing going on. At the minute, obviously I haven't done it, so it's still night vision in the game, but I think having a bigger flashlight, just imagine him just like I don't know, pushing a button on his head and he's got like this light coming out of his helmet. I think that would be a bit more interesting than having just plain old night vision.
Something weird that I noticed when I was playing the build last, if you start recording a source recording demo, if you know what I'm talking about, where you type in, it makes it into a normal flashlight.
Does it? I've never done that.
It turns off everything. It just makes it into a normal flashlight when you play it back.
I have not tried that. That's bizarre.
That is very bizarre.
Because I was thinking about the whole E3 demo thing. I was like, oh well, maybe we could do one with the source recorder so that it looks, nice. And that happened. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Well, we'd have to do a section where we don't have to use the night vision, if that's the case.
Yeah, definitely. That's really interesting.
Then you can play with the hood on, so you can be more accurate and shit. And then when you record it, turn the hood off. When you play it back in the source recorder to make it look, demo-y.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. But anyway, what else is there? Andre asks, are we going to see the AR3? I think we already answered this a few weeks ago.
Probably not the AR3. You'll see the AR2 though.
Yep, so there you go. No AR3. Let's see, what else is there?
Wasn't the AR3 fabricated anyway?
Yeah, there's that guy talking shit in episode 2.
It's hilarious.
Like, about punching hunters and, we have the AR3s.
I guess if we got time, we can add an Easter egg, which is just fisticuffs, but we'll just call it the AR3.
Yeah, that'd be... that'd be good.
He may be onto something. Like, he may not be lying about punching hunters to death. There's a line in episode 2 of a rebel commenting on how he saw a guy in the city beat up hunters with his fists.
Yeah.
And then probably dying immediately afterwards. Because you just get speared with the mandible things. Oof.
Unless you knew what you were doing.
This question is kind of a funny one because I know how... Andre asks, can you port Gmod effects into Half-Life 2? There are some good lighting effects. And those effects are already in Half-Life 2, aren't they? Because it's just code.
Yeah, so I don't know. This sort of reminds me of something I wanted to do ages ago. I don't know. The answer is I don't know. You probably can. There's like
Depends what he means by effects as well.
Yeah, because it wasn't... I noticed ages ago on Gmods, I can't remember who did it, some amazing sort of like sprite-based effects and like muzzle flashes, all that kind of thing. They were like way over the top. But it just made me think, how easy is that stuff to port for those creators? Could we?
I know how to do muzzle flashes.
Oh, well, that's cool.
I made some.
Oh, that's awesome. Because, planning on changing them at some point. Because at the minute they're a bit orange in Entropy 02. But yeah, that could be something to look at. But in terms of porting them from Gary's mod, I don't know.
It would have to get permission as well to use
that's right.
stuff.
Nobody here, please go away, asks, will there be bleeding if you take damage?
I don't know. I think that would break the Half-Life 2 dynamic, so we would have to be careful with that. Maybe you could have an enemy that makes you bleed, maybe the zombies, but then how do you communicate to the player that they're bleeding, without saying it? It's kind of difficult.
Yeah, it changes the Half-Life 2 mechanics a bit too much.
And I think that's just a bit overkill too, because Entropy 0 is hard as it is. Like, I don't think we need to...
And it wasn't in the... I mean, unless you wanted to add it to the first game as well. But as you said, it's already hard. And we're not going for like a tactical shooter feel anyway. I mean, it's a bit harder than regular Half-Life 2, I think. You got to be a bit more careful about where you're taking cover and stuff. But I don't think we're going to tip the scales so far over that we're going to friggin', Rainbow Six territory yet, unless we make that other game deployment.
That's right. I think at the minute with Entropy 0, I just want it more visceral. I just want the combat a bit more visceral. Like, when you play Half-Life 2, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's so plain now when you're firing the weapons. There's no real sort of kickback. I want to see dust flying everywhere. I want, blood and everything everywhere flying all over the place. That's what we're sort of going with. So it's kind of, we've upped the difficulty as well to sort of up the stakes a bit, but we don't want to, as Trevi said, make it over tactical. You know, we have to be careful about the changes that we make.
That's for another day and another game that maybe will get made at some point.
It's going to be difficult, but it's not going to be full on tactical.
What else is there? Kenny asks, will this mod reveal the true identity of Bad Cop? What true identity?
Well,
he just is Bad Cop.
Yeah, I mean, I have a name for him that I've written in a lot of my bits of writing, so he does have a name, but I don't... People like calling him Bad Cop. I don't think I can ever find a way of using that name in the game, because we're not going to do the old TV tropes of like having an old family member show up or anything like that. So I don't know how we would do it.
Doing a name reveal will just feel kind of redundant. It's like, oh, his name's David Smith. Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
But
that doesn't really tell us anything.
It's not going to affect the game. He's not Adrian Shepard, if that's what you're wondering. You know, it's not going to be groundbreaking or anything like that. He's just a guy who's existing in this universe.
Brother.
Oh God.
Oh. Who's Mitchell's brother? Ooh.
Oh shit.
Oh
Twine in
God.
the game.
Crossover alert.
Adrian? Is that you?
Adrian?
And then the game just ends. We did it, boys.
Or you see Mitchell at the end, and then he goes, son?
It's like that conversation we had last week about catching up to that person. He just turns around. It's just like, Mom, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So awkward.
So yeah, basically, just Bad Cop is just himself. He's just some asshole that really fucking loves the Combine.
Yeah.
Like so much. Holy shit. He'd probably have, if he was a kid, he'd just have Combine posters all over his wall.
Yep. And even the Combine are like, fucking, what is wrong with this guy? Like, he is going for
Not
it.
even we are into ourselves.
Exactly.
I did have a cool idea on who Bad Cop could be, but that kind of tied into who the host body is as well. So I gave this idea as well. I'm not sure if it was during our private dev meeting. I think it might have been the public one. Anyway, it was how the host body that Bad Cop's in is a former HECU Marine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, that was cool. That's pretty cool.
I was thinking, what if Bad Cop was like a Black Ops back in the day?
Oh, they were assholes, weren't they? Oh my God.
Yeah. And,
oh my God.
Oh my God.
I
was thinking, maybe this HECU Marine and this Black Ops have actually met before, but as complete enemies. So a memory could be, the HEC, the Marines like forced to watch his commander get shot by this Black Ops, which is Bad Cop. And then Bad Cop remembers.
How old would that make him, though? Think about it.
I don't know.
Because Bad Cop is a Metrocop in. Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
That's true.
It depends. You got to think about how old he is then.
20 years? Is it 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years, like between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2.
But Entropy Zero is before the events of Half-Life 2, isn't it? So that gives you a little bit of leeway. To be a Black Ops soldier, he'd have to be pretty veteran. He'd have to be at least in his like mid-30s to 40s to be Black Ops. And then you got to think, fast forward to like Entropy Zero, how fucking old is he when he becomes a Metrocop? It's getting a bit...
It's interesting, though.
He's just this fucking old guy going around going, "Hey, fucking people!
You fucking whippersnappers!
People suck!
People suck!"
That'd be so fucking good. Like the Combine just gave him augments to be able to run around and fucking shoot people, but you take his mask off and it's just this fucking elderly
guy. You fucking rebels in the goddamn music. Oh my God.
He'd only be like 50 something, wouldn't he, in Entropy 01 if that was the case?
Pretty old though, I think, to be running around beating people up and shooting and getting shot and being fine with it. I mean,
That's
you're 50 years
dedication.
old. You can fall over and fucking break your hip and be like, "Oh shit."
I think the thing about Bad Cops Past is we sort of allude to it at the very start of Entropy 02, but it's more sort of just there to sort of pad the character. It doesn't sort of have any sort of impact on the story. It doesn't affect the story in any way. It's kind of just like, here's some exposition, you know. It feels good for the beginning of the game. And it's sort of, if people want to go down the rabbit hole and maybe explore what Bad Cop was, who he was sort of before, I guess they can sort of speculate. But I don't know. I don't know how important it is that we sort of completely fill in his backstory. We don't really know. You know, if you can think about Gordon Freeman, how much do we know about him before we started playing as him? You know?
Not even Valve fucking know. They keep
exactly
giving information themselves, like when he was in uni and when he joined Black Mesa. Like, is it his first day at Black Mesa? But then there's stuff that alludes to the fact he isn't. But it's like they keep giving conflicting information about Freeman.
I think,
like magazines and shit.
I think if I could tie Bad Cop somehow back to Black Mesa, if I could do that, it would be great. But it would be so difficult to convincingly pull off, I think, in sort of like the narrative.
Yeah.
And obviously they tried to do it with Hunt Down the Freeman, didn't they?
Oh god.
So it's kind of, I don't know. You've got to be so careful with that kind of stuff.
Here's the big twist. Bad Cop is just self-insert for Breadman.
Yes, because I'm a psychotic killer. I'm just so evil, and I don't even care, man.
All these thoughts that you keep at the back of your mind, you're just pouring them all to Bad Cop.
You know what it is? It's being an IT sysadmin for 11 years. That's what's done it. It's just pushed me completely over the fucking edge.
That's Bad Cop's backstory.
He's a fucking sysadmin. He went insane.
That's why we've made the computer towers and Entropy Zero Arctica destructible.
Oh yes, so we can just finally fuck him up. He
There's
just
a reason
snapped.
for them. You know?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think like Bad Cop's like background / age wise, I think he should be about between 30 and 40 when it comes to Entropy Zero.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think him being like a Black Op in Black Mesa would be stretching it a bit too much.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a thought that
it was
I
a
had.
cool idea.
It is a cool idea.
When you said it, I was like, "Oh shit, that's really cool." But I was like, "Oh wait, no."
But then, you know, I'm really keen on the host body being a HECU.
Definitely.
I'd like to see, because the idea I had was that the story gets told backwards, somewhat. So the first hallucination sequence is as he gets captured by the Combine, and then the next hallucination sequence is the 7-hour war or something, or beforehand, like maybe he's doing a rebel.
Holy shit, that would actually be really
So
cool.
we could like change it completely. We could like, the whole hallucination sequence could be redone from the sort of HECU's guys like perspective.
It's like another story. It's like a side story almost to the main story. Just like if the
Ooh, good catch.
It would be pretty cool.
That's a good idea.
They can sort of follow the story like through the hallucinations, and you learn a little bit more each hallucination with it going backwards in time from him originally getting captured all the way back to, I don't know, something. You'll figure it out. You're writing.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
You got this subplot going on in the background as well. So you got your main one, and then you've got this story of the host body. I thought it'd be cool actually to have a sequence where the host, because the host body is still alive, isn't it? It just can't control
Yes,
itself.
essentially. It's one of those really horrible kind of situations.
I would like to think that we'd have a hallucination sequence where the host body is actually like talking or something, like communicating to Bad Cop through a hallucination or something.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to do that, sort of like in a psychological way. How would we, because I do want to do that, how would we sort of present that to the player?
The breakdown of the mental barrier between Bad Cop and his
exactly
host.
Yeah, the host. Does the host try and regain control and put himself out of his misery? Is it going to be as blatant as that? But then again, obviously there's talks about this. I can't say it on the stream.
Yeah, well,
there's a discussion to be had. Should we do some more questions, because I'll have to head off soon?
Okay, let's try and blast through some ones. I read a question that has already been answered in a previous stream, I'll skip it. So if you if your question doesn't get answered, try looking back through in previous streams to see if it's been answered, because it probably has, because that's why I skipped it. Let's take a look. Okay, there's a bunch of questions asking about spoilers, so I won't bother asking those because we're not going to answer them. Animated Firearms asks, will there be trigger disciple in the gun animations? Discipline, I think he means. So I'm guessing, will he have his finger off the trigger when he's not firing? I don't know. Is it?
Probably not, because
kind of person. No.
Bagcop's the kind of guy to just walk around with his finger on the trigger all the time. Because he's just, I don't know, I don't think he's ever been disciplined to do it any other way.
Exactly.
That's just his way of doing things.
It's just
Plus, he's
exactly
in a combat situation throughout the entire game, pretty much. So there's not going to be a situation where he isn't shooting a dude in the face if he's aiming at it. I think maybe if there's like scripted sequences where he's just hanging around with Combine, as we were talking about earlier this week about sort of casual animations where he lowers his gun and stuff.
Yeah, that would be good for when we sort of have those sort of sequences, like you said, when he's having conversations with advisors or whatever. We might have to do something like that to sort of spice it up a bit and not just have the player with the gun, you know.
Well, it's kind of the same thing as the lowering animations that are already in the game.
Exactly, yeah.
So, like, because
really.
there's a bunch of different stuff you can do with those. They're actually really useful because, and the mod that I'm working, we have it so that, like, the code searches if you're, like, up against a wall. So if you're close enough to a wall and you're looking at it, then it plays the lowering animation.
Oh, that's a cool idea, yeah.
Oh, put it on the cello.
I'll see if I can show you that. I wonder how that works.
I might be able to share the code with you.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Yeah, right.
Same with the walking and running animations sequences.
Actually, that's the thing we haven't mentioned yet about introducing like sprinting animations for the weapons and stuff.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
That would be cool. But as I said, got to move along with the questions. Nobody here, please go away, asks, will there be a sandbox mode?
It depends what you mean by sandbox mode. I was kind of thinking about having a bit like the firing range in Entropy 01, but more of like a firefight that just goes on forever and you just see how long you can last, maybe. But then that's going down the whole sort of what we would define deployments as being. So, I don't know. It probably won't release with a sandbox mode, so to speak. But you might get one later on down the line.
Awesome. And, we've already answered this question, so we'll just make it a short answer. BitTalker asks, will the bull squid or other Zen fauna be in the mod? And the answer is yes.
Yes, we totally want the bull squid.
I think we spoke about that in the last stream.
We did, yeah, and now we've actually got functioning code, so it's fantastic. We're not going to show it off until it's like looking good, and you know, but yeah, it's happening. The bull squid is happening. We're designing sections around it, so yeah.
Yeah,
we will have to get like a new model for it, so more like the beta model.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was my thinking. We could go with the beta model and then Arctica up, basically.
Yep. And those are all the questions.
Fantastic.
I'd like to ask one.
Oh shit.
Go on, go.
He lives.
So, Unity-based question.
Okay, go for it.
Will we ever see something like Hartley or Ghost Hunt in Unity?
I hope so one day. So basically, the guy who I was working with on Hartley Asylum is a personal friend of mine. And every time we meet, we pretty much make sort of plans for this kind of thing. We've got a story, we know what we're doing with it, we just need to build it. At the minute, obviously, I'm occupied with this, but maybe after this, you'll see that happen. And if that does happen, that would be like a commercial thing, like a proper product that we would try and get going.
Yes. Very nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, I think we're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for coming, everyone, and having a look at you know, what we got to show off tonight. I hope you like the Chapter 2 gameplay. I'll do some videos of it. I'll do some sort of beta videos of it as well at some point, so we can all see where we're up to.
Nice. And we'll do another meeting next week, maybe, whether a streamed one or just
yeah.
one
It's a
thing,
good
how
point.
much
I don't know. I've got a busy week coming up, but I'm going to try and do as much work as I can, obviously, on the next map. If I have anything to show off, then we can show it off then. If not, maybe we can just have like an extended Q&A or something like that, because we always seem to run over with Q&A.
Yeah, true.
Cool.
Right, bye-bye, everyone.
See y'all.
Thanks for coming.
Adios.